So I'm now at the end almost of round 17 of the toe, and I'm finding that it's getting a bit difficult now to keep pulling the stitches round on the circular needle as I'm knitting. So what I need to do is to switch to the double pointed needles so that I don't pull my work too much. So the first thing I'm going to do is to knit this last stitch of round 17. Then I'm going to take out my marker. We'll put a new one in just a sec. And then I'm going to knit, because I've got 40 stitches in the round, I'm going to knit 10 stitches onto each of 4 double pointed needles, which will then leave me a 5th one to carry on and start the next round of knitting. So I'll show you what this means. So the first thing I'm going to do is to knit 10 stitches from the circular onto my double pointed. So that's 1, 2, 3. I can then pull this one out the way slightly. 4. 5. You'll see that 10 stitches takes us to halfway between the 2 sets of decreases at the toe. And that's actually quite useful. Before we knit onto the next double pointed needle, I'm just going to take a marker and I'm going to clip it into any one of these stitches here, hanging off the first needle. Then as we work round the stocking, every time we get to this needle with the marker hanging underneath, we'll know that this stitch here is the first stitch in the round. And we won't have to keep slipping it, it just makes it a bit easier as we get less and less stitches. So I'm then going to repeat this for all of the double pointed needles. So I've got to the end of round 18 and you can see I've got all my stitches on my 4 double pointed needles. They're all round there in a square. We can see the marker here. That shows that this is the first needle of the round, so this is the first stitch of the round. So I'm now all set to work round 19. So we just need to pick up the knitting, hold it so that this needle you need to work from is in front of you, and then doing your best to ignore all the other needles, you're going to use this extra spare, the 5th needle, to knit these stitches. And the only trick, the only thing you have to remember is, as you change from one needle to the next, pull the wool tightly on that first stitch just to avoid any little ladders appearing between where the 2 needles are. So let's put that one above the one we're working before it, and I'm just going to knit 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the same as before, we are going to knit 2 stitches together, knit 1, and we're at the end of the needle. So for the second of my knit 2, I need to switch to the needle, the second needle. So I just move it round, and I'm now going to start working off this new needle. So I will knit the first stitch and just pull that tight to close the gap between the 2 needles. Slip 1, knit 1, oops, pass the slipped stitch over and knit 7. Like that. So that's half the round. So I just carry on and keep going until I've completed the round and come back to the beginning, which is over there, and then I shall just carry on the pattern going round and round using my double pointed needles.